When you talk about legitimate tough guys in the world of wrestling, no list would be complete without the mention of Harley Race. The 8-time NWA World Heavyweight Champion held the NWA's most prestigious belt at a time when champions had to be ready to legitimately defend the belt in the event of a double cross. Long considered one of wrestling's toughest men, Race only dropped the belt when told to. Harley Race had a run in the WWF as the King of Wrestling when he won the early untelevised 1986 King of the Ring tournament, which introduced him to new fans up north. Race wouldn't win any championships in the WWF, but he had a notable feud with the Junkyard Dog, culminating in a match at Wrestlemania 3, where the loser of the match had to bow down to the winner, and a brief feud for the crown against King Haku in 1989. Race would leave it there with the WWF and thereafter wrestle sporadically all over both the US, Canada and Puerto Rico, wrestling in World Wrestling Council, Stu Hart's Calgary Stampede, as well as be a part of AWA's final television taping, where he faced Larry Zbyszko for the championship. Race made a return to the NWA/WCW in 1990, but later worked as a manager, guiding such talent as Vader and Lex Luger, and wrestled his final match in 1993. Sadly, a car crash in 1995 ended all hope of any wrestling return, but Race instead transitioned into teaching wrestling, opening up his wrestling school and promotion. As far as Race was concerned, wrestling is around, should be around, and as long as I have anything to do with it, is gonna be around. The King would be inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame in 2004, marking his place amongst other greats such as Andre the Giant, Buddy Rogers, and Bobby the Brain Heenan, to name a few. For the last few years, Race continued to run the wrestling school/indie promotion World Wrestling League. Sadly, Ric Flair announced in March this year that Race was diagnosed with lung cancer. He fought the cancer as much as he could, but sadly, the fight was lost yesterday. His son Jason wrote on Facebook, "He kept fighting until the end. He is the most genuine human being I know. I don't even think he knew the impact he has had on others." He continued by saying, "Today at 12:50, we lost the man that fought up until the very last of his existence. More information will be released soon, but just know that he loved pro wrestling and the fans that loved him. Harley Race, we love you." The wrestling world was of course shocked by the news and reacted by offering their condolences on Twitter. Many came from those who were inspired by the legend, such as Lance Storm, as he wrote, "This is why we should not throw the term legend around freely. It needs to be saved for people like Harley who truly are." Close friend and wrestling legend Ric Flair wrote, "Today we lost not only a great personal friend, but in my estimation the only real world champion. Without Harley Race, there was no Ric Flair. I tried my hardest every day to live up to his standard in the ring." On a very sad note, Matthew of Botchamania recently posted a picture of the Heenan family from the Survivor Series 1988 team, and sadly, everyone in that picture is gone. Andre the Giant, Rick Rude, Harley Race, Dino Bravo, Bobby Heenan, Mr. Perfect, Frenchie Martin, and of course, Mean Gene. We at Wrestlelamia would like to offer our condolences to both the friends and family of the King of Wrestling, Harley Race. The Undertaker signs a new deal. Those thinking The Undertaker is close to hanging up his boots for good might be shocked to know that he has in fact done the opposite and signed another deal with WWE. The term of the contract has not been revealed, but Meltzer believes it's not exactly a lifetime contract, but it's a long one which could possibly mean 20 years. This doesn't mean Taker is going to be wrestling into his late 60s. Actually, seeing as Ric Flair and Terry Funk did the same, it's not entirely impossible, but hopefully Taker won't do the same, as Taker might end up in a possible ambassador role similar to the Big Show, and this would include sporadic appearances for the near future. Next up, there's bad news for ticket sales. Now WWE has been doing everything they can to bring ticket sales up for live events, and they've done so by offering a 2-for-1 deal and even at some locations 25% off Raw, SmackDown and NXT TakeOver Toronto when using the code WWE True. Well, it seems that even that doesn't seem to be working, as WWE is already preparing for the worst for the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view, as tickets don't seem to be available for the upper tiers and the hard camera. According to Dave Meltzer, Sacramento, which is traditionally a strong WWE market even when the rest of the country is down, they are at first not putting for sale the upper sections or directly behind the hard camera. Hopefully, if things improved and there's more interest storyline wise, they may look at opening those sections. Our next bit of news looks at Roman Reigns as he reveals when he might be done with wrestling full time. He revealed he might be done with pro wrestling in around 5 years' time. He mentioned in an interview, "I'm still in love with the ring. I'm still holding it down for Raw and SmackDown. It's great having other opportunities, but I still love having my physical thing in the ring. I just gotta go by my health and how I feel. You know, I'm still a young man. I'm 34. I still have a few more years in me of being in the prime of my athletic career. If I can hold it in the ring, I'm willing to do it. I can hold this schedule for at least 5 more years of being full time, but eventually it's gonna be, time to rest my body." Perhaps later on he might go the way of his cousin The Rock and transition into a Hollywood star. Our next news is the real reason why the Usos won't be at SummerSlam. We're only just 9 days away from the biggest wrestling event of the summer, and even though the Usos were recently involved in a triple threat tag team championship match on Raw, it seems that after news broke out of Jimmy Uso's DUI arrest, the duo won't be on the SummerSlam card for one very good reason. This year's SummerSlam pay-per-view is being held across the border in Ontario, Canada at the Scotiabank Arena. Since the event is in Canada, they enforce very strict entry rules and could very possibly refuse entry to those who have been charged with a DUI. According to DWIGuy.com, if you have ever been arrested or convicted for driving under the influence of drugs or alcohol, regardless of whether it was a misdemeanor or felony offense, you may be criminally inadmissible to Canada and denied entry at the border crossing. Regardless of whether or not you have any intention to drive while in the country, a DWI charge can cause you to get turned away at the border and can impede your eligibility across all Canadian immigration programs. As you might be already aware, Jimmy Uso was recently arrested and has arrests dating back to 2011 and 2013, and this also affects Jey Uso, as he was also arrested for a DUI charge in January of 2018. Whilst they could appeal the decision, in fact Jey may have already done so in the past, it might be too late for Jimmy to gain entry for SummerSlam, leaving both brothers in the penitentiary for the time being. This could even be the case for Raw, as the 12th August edition will be held in the same arena. And in our last bit of news, there might be some heat on CM Punk in AEW. Recently, Punk was interviewed by ESPN and revealed that All Elite Wrestling had been chasing him with a number of offers and telling of how he couldn't even text his friends good luck without receiving some sort of offer. He mentioned in the interview, "The last thing I got a text from Cody, and again, I almost don't know how to reply to them sometimes. Because if I reply, they do interviews and are like, oh yeah, I just talked to Punk. I'm kind of damned if I do, damned if I don't. I always think if somebody wants to do business with me, they can come talk to me. Texting offers isn't really a way to do good business, at least. It was texted through 3 people and an offer came in through text. This is like a month ago maybe. I think it was just a general offer. I never could have done the last one in Vegas, Double or Nothing, because I was in California for CFFC. It seems that some wrestlers in AEW who haven't been named felt upset with Punk's comments, feeling as if they've always been honest with him, but he seems to be exaggerating things. Dave Meltzer wrote in the most recent edition of the Wrestling Observer newsletter, some in AEW were upset about the quotes. Nothing that they felt they were dealing up front in business with him, and felt that when people in the company have asked about Punk coming, they've always been honest. Nothing they were interested, but that Punk had expressed no interest, but that Matt Jackson and he were in contact. Khan and Cody have also been in contact at times, and there was a feeling in this interview implied when Khan would say he has a great relationship with Punk, but it's up to Punk whether he comes, that he's exaggerating things. The reality is that Punk hasn't responded to the idea of opening up talks, and that's as far as it had gone at the time of the interview. Cody feels the rejections may imply that he's headed over to WWE, but it may just be a simple case of Punk not wanting to wrestle ever again and denying both promotions. It's something that he has repeatedly mentioned on Twitter and in various interviews. The love of pro wrestling has obviously gone. But still, don't rule out some sort of swerve, as all this back and forth could be in the hopes of gaining some attention for All Out. But that was the latest wrestling news. What do you think of the stories? Let us know in the comments down below, subscribe if you haven't already, follow us on Instagram and Twitter, and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.